Hello, how are you, Black Widows?
Hi.
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for hanging and talking about this movie. I loved it. Scarlett, I got to start with you. I finally got the answers to my Budapest questions about the Red Room, things I've wanted to know since the Avengers. Are these stories you've known about? Have these like almost appeared in other Marvel movies?
You mean, are we answering the kind of the call, the fan call, the call to Budapest, call of action to Budapest with this film? Yeah, I mean, Kevin Feige loves a good payoff moment. And so there's definitely pieces in this, when it was kind of like, okay, like blue sky, like pie in the sky. What is this? Like, what are we making? What are the things we wanted, we want to accomplish with this? Obviously Budapest was up there. We're like, we have to scratch that itch, right? Like we have to. Okay. So that's going to be something. The city obviously is so cinematic and beautiful. And it would be, I think we'd make too many people angry if we didn't go to Budapest. Like there'd be riots in the street.
Yeah, we got weird looking. I loved it. Florence, welcome to the MCU. Love you as Yelena. This feels like almost a passing of the baton in a way. Like Yelena could be the future of Black Widows in the Marvel world. I'd love to hear from you. If you're sticking around for a while, what do you want to emulate that you kind of saw Scarlett do for a decade here that you learned from her? You want to take with you?
First of all, I think when I came on board, there wasn't even any, conversations of whether there'd be a this scene or that scene or a future Elena. It was just like, get involved, get stuck in. And I was so grateful to be invited. Going forward, I think the most wonderful thing and the scary thing is that obviously I've got, major shoes to fill. And it's just been really wonderful seeing all the ways that Scarlett's changed, conversation about her character. And I think for me, whatever future there is, I would love to, I suppose, follow in her footsteps in that way. How do we make Yelena different? How do we make her stand out? How do we make her powerful? And that's just going to be an ongoing, I hope, conversation. I suppose follow in Scarlett's footsteps in that way.
Through just one film, I think you've accomplished so much of that already. So welcome. I can't wait to see more. And my last thing, Scarlett, I have to ask, as somebody who this franchise, I've been with it for so long, are we going to see, is this it? Like, can we see you as Natasha again down the road? Please.
Honestly, I feel like it's always, it feels like great to leave a party when it's still raging. And, I think that this film feels very much like it's alive and fresh and powerful. And, I feel really pleased with it. I feel really happy with the work that we've done for this decade of time. And, it's bittersweet to say goodbye, but when you love something, you need to set it free.
Fair enough. Well, listen, thank you so much for the time. If we see her again, please keep her off the high surfaces for once. Oh my goodness. Congratulations.
Thank you,
I love the film. Well, I have a very important question for you to start with, though. Who wins in an arm wrestling match? Alexi or Hellboy?
Oh man, that's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I gotta feel like if it's right-handed, it's the arm of doom, right? It's I feel like Hellboy's got that. But if we do non-dominant, Red Guardian might have a shot.
He might have the shot. Yeah, go lefty and take him down.
Yeah.
So
Southpaw.
I watched you on I think it was Jimmy Kimmel, and you talked about how you ask a lot of questions, like things like why doesn't he speak Russian and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if there's another question you might have asked as a Marvel fan here. Did you ask questions like where was Red Guardian during the Thanos fights in Infinity War and Endgame?
I asked those questions. I mean, no, I mean, the fun thing about this entire thing is that we go back and we build out this structure for something new. there's all this new content, with a lot of the information in the movie that moves forward with these other projects in terms of a new phase. And also you get to introduce these new characters. But, Kate Shortland and I had all kinds of speculations about where Red Guardian ends up, with this and what happens to him. There's a lot of fun ideas that we had, but I haven't gone directly to the source. I haven't asked Feige himself. I'll do that later.
I think they just had to keep him out because Thanos would have been shaking.
It wouldn't have been fair. It wouldn't have been fair to have such a specimen in that fight.
Man, I love seeing you get the costume put on, like, and it's very like, I mean, it's straight up Russian Captain America. The helmet it echoes what Chris Evans wears. The suit. Did you do anything to kind of echo any of that, or like homage anything you saw Evans do?
Oh, that's a good question. Not really, actually. No, not really. There was some fun stuff around, like, his particular brand of his fighting style. It was more like about the Sambo, about different like setups and things like that. There was also some interesting stuff around the helmet itself, in terms of like how he would wear it or where he would wear it. A lot of times these guys have helmets where they just like touch their neck and there's like a CGI. It was very important to me that this was this was like a football helmet that this guy carried around. The suit itself even was, since it's been in storage for a long time, it's like he's a product of a different generation. He's a product of almost a different generation of superhero. He's very like sort of old school in his ideology. So, but no, I didn't have any particular. I mean, there's one moment. I'm not sure if it exists still in the movie, but there was one kind of homage, but I don't know if it exactly made it into this one. But yeah, I don't think it quite made it in. So.
Maybe we'll talk after the movie comes out and we'll reveal.
We can talk.
Now I'm wondering.
I know. I can't. I wish I could say that, but I can't talk about it. You bring these things up, and then I got nothing to say.
I hear you. I know how that goes. You gotta play it safe. Listen, in comics, Red Guardian is a character who becomes part of the Winter Guard. I'm not going to spoil anything. We do have maybe I'm reaching, but maybe there's references. I dig into these things and I love a theory. But I want to see a big drunk bear in the Marvel universe. I want to see a Winter Guard. Have you fantasized about that? Have you become really educated on that stuff and thought about seeing it?
Yeah. I know a lot about those guys. Sputnik, Crimson Dynamo, and Ursa. And I think that if you watch the movie closely, I think you can, I think you can find some stuff in there. I like, I like this mirrored universe that these guys set up, because we've seen the Avengers and what they can do and there's almost direct parallels in this Winter Guard to each of those characters, like Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk. And I would like to see what a mirrored universe in that way would look like and how that would function in its larger phase.
Oh, same. I hope you're in it for the long haul so we get to see all that. Appreciate your time, brother. That's on a great movie. First of all, I got to ask, did you find the list of things you're not supposed to talk about? I saw that you misplaced that.
Oh, I was kidding around. I have all the secrets locked up in here, and nothing can tempt me into telling you anything.
What's at the top of that list? I can't imagine what could be on that list. Listen, I want to talk about wearing a Black Widow suit. We see in the trailer that Melina wears a suit. You get to wear a suit. This is a costume, a suit that represents a lot. It's rooted in heroics. It's also rooted in trauma and family and a lot of things. I'd love to hear from you. Kind of what did it mean to you to put that on and exist in it?
Yes. I mean, the fittings were quite long because each Black Widow suit gets tailored exactly to you. There is, of course, a specific style. They're all the same, but I had numerous fittings, and so it was a process, a journey getting there. And then when you do have it on, and you have your shoulder pads on, your weapons in the back, and your wrist cuffs, and it's an iconic piece of clothing, isn't it? So you got to live up to it. It's a lot to live up to.
I'll say you lived up to it. I'll say you did a pretty good job at it. So congratulations. Melina in comics is a character who goes on. I mean, the jealousy of Natasha leads her to become Iron Maiden, and it's like a villainous path. We don't see a lot of that story playing out here. I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm sure you've become familiar with the comic history of Melina. Would that be a route you'd ever be interested in seeing this go, to become like the Iron Maiden of sorts?
Definitely, yes. If it's written, I would be very interested. Yes.
That'd be super cool. And between you and your husband, Daniel, in the house, I mean, with him in these mysteries like Knives Out, and you're in the Marvel world where you can't even reveal your last name. There's so many secrets in that house. Who shares more secrets around the house about their projects?
You know something, we really don't talk about our work very much. I think that's one thing that we're quite similar in. We like to really take a break, and so we're quite secretive about our work. We just don't really talk about it that much. I love seeing his work, but I don't want it ruined by talking about it first.
Yeah, you get to experience it that way. I mean, everyone and their mother is joining Knives Out too. I'm ready to get you in there next.
I'm unavailable, but also I haven't been asked.
Oh, that's fair. Listen, I do want to ask, when you join the Marvel world, these stories can keep on going. Are you down to take this for the long haul? You want to keep growing Melina's character?
Absolutely. If I were asked, I would be very, very happy to.
OT, I love that shirt, man.
Oh, thanks a lot, Brandon. I appreciate it. Just coming in straight with the compliments. I like that.
I'm going to have to find that somewhere. I thought I was cool with the Avengers shirt. I'm not, man. Good for you.
Oh, thanks, man.
Well, listen, welcome to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Really cool to see you in there as Mason. And I want to hear kind of when your journey started. I know Marvel likes to keep secrets. How early on did you learn what happens in Infinity War and Endgame? Before the rest of us?
Oh, no, listen, no, I didn't know anything. I'm an idiot. I'm late to the party. I had some catching up to do when I joined the Marvel Universe. I was behind, you see. And when I did, I was like, whoa, she's dead. So no, I wasn't early. I was late, but I was so glad to catch up.
I mean, that's a lot of history to read up on. You were on the stage at Comic-Con. Were you just looking at everybody like, whoa, you're Tony, you're Steve, like what's going on?
You know what? It wasn't even just on the stage. Before you go on stage at Comic-Con, there's like a holding area, right? Where they're just, and it's really basic. It's like, it's not flash, it's not fancy celebrity. It's just like this basic holding area. And there's some entrees and stuff like that. And so it feels normal. And look around and you're like, that's it was really overwhelming. Luckily,
I get overwhelmed just in the crowd, so I can only imagine. We do get a glimpse into your character Mason's life, who has been a very secretive character so far. Have they laid out for you more than we see in the movie, past, present, future, where this character's been and where he's going?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a big part of creating any characters, knowing exactly what their history is. And so Scarlett, Kate, and I would sit down in rehearsals and go over what exactly is his and Natasha's relationship, what happened between them before, how intimate or not was it. And so, some really fascinating, I can't share it all, obviously, because then I get in trouble. But there's, and I think you see that when you watch the movie, you're going, there's subtext to a lot of their conversations.
Yeah, I feel like 10 or 15 years ago, not even that long ago, like the relationship with Mason and Natasha is one that like at the end of the movie, it probably would have had like a kiss at the end. But I really was glad we don't like have like that kind of relationship here. Did you have conversations about like why it was important not to make this that kind of relationship? It's so... The movie's bigger than that, I think, and just going into those old tropes, the great producers, writer and director just was like, that's not what this story is about. This story is about family and our chosen family, the difference in your biological family, your logical family, the people you choose to have in your life. And in some ways, although there is a kind of like intimacy between them, it was important to know that relationship is part of family as well. I love it. And so I got to ask, do you have your next mission? Do you know the next time you're going to appear in the MCU? And if we could we could fantasize here, who do you want to see Mason work with?
I mean, listen, there are a lot. I think there's no doubt the whole Black Panther community. I think Mason could do great work there. But maybe my number one might be Deadpool. I think Deadpool could probably do with a bit of help from.
If they don't let you punch a ticket to Wakanda, I think you and Ryan Reynolds could have some fun bantering back and forth. I love it. Listen, thank you so much. Welcome to the MCU. Congrats on the great movie.
Thanks a lot, man.
I want to start as a hardcore MCU fan. There have been so many questions about Natasha I've wanted answered, and you really gave me what I was looking for in such great fashion. I'd love to hear, how tricky was it to kind of weave in this story and expand Natasha's world when she's been, around and in stories for so long already?
The script was the hardest part of the process. So I think Jack Schaefer was talking about that. I looked at what she'd said a little bit about her process with the writing, and she said it was harder than WandaVision was to create. And then we had Eric, who wrote Thor. He also ended up doing the screenplay. So it was like everybody was adding to it. But the biggest thing was she'd kept all these secrets for so long. So you really felt that she wouldn't reveal herself naturally. So we had to work really hard to get her to reveal herself as a character.
It worked so well. It felt so organic, and I loved it. And it's the audience knows Natasha. They kind of know going into the movie that Natasha will survive because we know she goes on to Infinity War and Endgame. But we also you create such a great feeling of stakes, regardless of that, for her and for other characters. I'd love to hear from you how you kind of honed in on making it feel like these characters were still very vulnerable, despite the fact that one might not die, but there was still something to lose.
Kevin Feige spoke about that from the beginning, which we spoke about that even though we knew what had happened to her in Endgame, it still had to feel at times that she was in trouble. And say with that Taskmaster fight on the bridge, we wanted to make it really raw. And I kept thinking about women that have been attacked on the street. So we wanted to make it really gritty and that other people could relate to it. It wasn't two sort of superhero characters fighting. It was Natasha fighting for her life. And I think that's kind of the spirit of the film that we wanted to take throughout.
Yeah, it gets a little dark for Marvel at times. It gets pretty visceral in that. It is a very feeling of being attacked on the street and just fighting for your life. Did you kind of have to push for pushing the envelope, or was it very like Marvel was like, you know what, we love what you did? How does that work?
I worked with Brian Chapek, who was my producer, and he was all for rawness and vulnerability. So he was also really great. If I faltered, he'd go, no, you're right. Keep going, keep going. So he and I said it had to be really intimate and really epic. So he really wanted that rawness as well in the fights, and so did the choreographers and the stunt people. So we're always going for what felt truthful.
Yeah, Bob was right. You were right. I'm glad you kept everything you did.
Brian, Bob's his dad.
Brian was right. You were right. It's also Natasha as a character that Scarlett has played for a decade and has really embodied the role so thoroughly. And you had the task of casting a young Natasha. I'd love to hear from you about landing on Ever Anderson to play a young version of this character.
Well, we looked at a lot of girls, and as soon as we saw Eva and saw what she could do, it was her straight away. And what a joy she is. I think she's going to be. I think if she wants to work hard, I think she'll go a long way. I think she's a beautiful actress and she's really instinctual. So it was great having her on set, and she was fearless. She in some of the fighting that she had to do, the little bits, we had to basically drag her off people because she'd just go. And I remember the first time she screamed really loud in Russian because she speaks fluent Russian. I got just cold shivers all over.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. That's awesome. In Endgame, I remember feeling weird when Natasha died in Endgame because I was like, well, she's coming back, right? This whole purpose of this movie is bring the heroes back. And then we never really got closure because it came back to, we can't get her. We're just back to the fight. And in this movie, I did feel a real sense of completeness to Natasha's story. I want more, but I do feel satisfied. I got some closure. Did you want to offer a feeling of closure? Can you talk about kind of how you wanted this to both further the story of the Black Widows, but really kind of give a conclusive nature and arc to Natasha?
I believe that we become part of the ether. So I think she's still here. So in my mind, I wanted to use like fireflies and the essence of this light in the darkness.
But on that note, I mean, do you feel like would you be interested in a sequel of doing, whether it's more Natasha in the past or Yelena in the future? Is that something you've thought about at all?
I think they're all great characters. And I think what people want is they want diversity. I think we want to see female superheroes kicking ass.
Absolutely.
And so I think
kick ass is exactly what they did. It's exactly what they did.
I think we're all interested in seeing more of them.
I fully agree with you. Please listen, Natasha has to stop jumping off of high locations. That's a terrible habit. It's killing me. I get triggered every time she jumps. But also, listen, you introduce David Harbour as Red Guardian. And I do want to know, there are, in comics, I'm sure you're familiar with the Winter Guard. And there are little kind of nods, I won't say anything more than that, to such characters. Are those intentional? And do you think that's something that could be out there?
I think he is an amalgamation, like David's character.
Yes. He's
like this amalgamation of so many superheroes, because he's watched them all fight, and not like Taskmaster. Instead, David gets it wrong every time. Or so Taskmaster would achieve it. David, Alexei would mess it up.
He would try. He was giving it his best shot. He was trying his best. Were there any deleted scenes or characters or cast that you really enjoyed but just didn't make the cut, or you wanted to have and then never came to fruition?
Yeah, there's some really beautiful moments that we've cut out. But I think they'll be in a deleted scenes.
I'll watch all of them. I'll watch everything you did with this. I swear. And my last thing for you, Taskmaster's shield. He throws it like Captain America, but Cap's shield is made of vibranium. Did you guys have any conversations about what Taskmaster's shield is? Have you been asked this already?
We did. And you know what? I want you to ask Brian Chapek what it's made out of, the producer.